What's up, everybody? The 2020-2021 NBA season is over. We have a champion, but basketball never stops. The NBAExchange continues. We've got a lot to get in today as the Milwaukee Bucks are now your NBA champion.
And that'll do it. It's over. The Bucks have done it. The long wait has ended. After a half century, the Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions once again. The emotions come pouring out. One of the greatest nights in Milwaukee sports history ends in a coronation. And the brilliance of the young man from Athens.
So the Milwaukee Bucks are champions of the NBA, winning their first title since 1971. That's right, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a champion. Mike Budenholzer is a champion. Yes, we got to put respect on their name. To talk about all this stuff about winning a championship and legacies and what this means for teams and players and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, other places don't do it where they talk about it with nuance. We're going to do that because it's Wednesday. That means my man Jarod Hector joining me to put some nuanced perspective on the 2021 NBA Finals. Jarod, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? That was a hell of an NBA Finals. Kudos to the Milwaukee Bucks. Owner Mark Lazary, GM John Horst, head coach Mike Budenholzer, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Finals MVP, Khris, Jrue, all the rest of that squad. Listen, guys, blood, sweat, and tears. This team earned it. So shouts to the Milwaukee Bucks and their fan base.
Yeah, they absolutely earned it. You got to put things in perspective here. Bucks were down 2-0 in this series. They came back. They won 4 straight. Why was that impressive? The Suns hadn't lost 4 straight all year at all whatsoever. I think you and I, we spoke about this and other platforms and privately, but, you know, we could have seen this going any kind of way. Following Game 4 into Game 5, and then even after Game 6, the Suns could have won, the Bucks could have won. I don't think you'd have been shocked about that, Jarod, but were you surprised at all? Not that the Bucks won, but the fashion in which they were able to close it out. Giannis scoring 50 points in this contest, maybe one of the most dominant performances we've seen in a closeout NBA Finals game. How impressed were you with what you saw from the Bucks and the way they captured this title?
I mean, look, they were incredible. And I think really what I saw after Game 2 was the Bucks' size and length just started to wear on Phoenix. And, you know, this is a game, Dexter, where size still matters. The rim is still 10 feet above the ground. So when you're just bigger than everybody, eventually you're just going to wear dudes down. And the Suns legitimately have one 7-footer in DeAndre Ayton. Kaminsky had some good minutes in Game 6, but other than that, with Sarge out, they had a lot of problems. And when, you know, the hardest thing to do when you are a small in the NBA, and when I say small, I mean anyone 6'4" and under, is to score over length. That is the hardest thing to do. And, you know, when you got 14 feet of arms in your face, you know, at some point, them shots just ain't gonna be going in anymore, right? Because you just can't do it. And that's what I saw. Look, again, the Bucks were excellent when it mattered. Giannis was incredible. Khris Middleton was great. Jrue Holiday's defense was outstanding all postseason, and specifically in the finals as he shut off Chris Paul's water. You know, and again, and when I say that, you're never going to stop superstars, right? I always say that because they're just too good. What you have to do is make it difficult on them. Oh, you're going to score 25 points? Cool. You're going to take 25 shots to do it, though, right? Like, that's the idea. And that makes you inefficient. That means wasted possessions. That means turnovers. That means good things for the other team. And that's what I saw Milwaukee do. Their defense, more than anything, is what carried them.
Absolutely. Now, before this series, there was a lot of talk. Will this series be enjoyable? We've got Phoenix, it's Milwaukee, 2 small markets. The NBA doesn't have the common star power that people have been used to seeing in the NBA Finals. I mean, LeBron James, one of Jarod's favorites in terms of propaganda season. Also, Stephen Curry. You know, these were faces people were used to seeing in the Finals. Now you have new faces, Chris Paul, Giannis Antetokounmpo. It changed, but I thought personally this was a really entertaining and enjoyable Finals. How did you feel about this Finals? Just when we look back at it, I thought this was a good one, especially even if you want to say in recent memory. You got to give it some props, right?
Oh, I mean, from a basketball standpoint, this final was incredible. This may have been the best finals that we've seen in the last, 8 years. And yes, I know what you're all going to say, Jarod, but the Cavs came back from 3-1. I understand that. But if you remember that series, most of those games, save for Game 7, were blowouts, right? Like, that's not exciting basketball, right? Blowouts aren't exciting to me personally. I like games with drama. The last 4 games of this series, Actually, no, we saw drama, did we not? These games were all decided in the fourth quarter. And I enjoyed that. I really did. So kudos to Phoenix and Milwaukee. I think, look, in the short term, the ratings aren't going to say much, right? Because during the regular season, people like us, people in the media who cover it and diehards, we carry it, right? Because we're the ones who watch every single night on League Pass, staying up 2 a.m. watching Utah versus Memphis, right? Nobody does that. And, casual fan doesn't do that. NBA Finals are about the casual fan. And now they got introduced to Giannis Antetokounmpo, Devin Booker, and they may know Chris Paul from the State Farm commercial, but he plays basketball too? Yeah, he does. Now they learn that name. So these stories now they have actors and players who are like, ooh, this is an interesting person, interesting story. I have someone to root for now. Watch, you'll see next year. I bet Devin Booker's probably going to be a starter in the All-Star game next year, right? And I say that because that's a fan voting thing, right? You'll see how, ooh, that guy, yeah, we know him. And I think the finals will help sort of bring these new stars on the stage. And look, the NBA needs that, right? Because it is now, the LeBron, KD, Harden, Steph, those guys are still there. And, they're going to still have a say-so about championships. But it is now time for the guys who are in that 26 to 30 range. It's their time now, right? To see if they're going to carry it.
Yeah, you talk about the shift and sort of changing of guard in these players. But one of the things that you and I talk about a lot throughout the season, specifically in the postseason, right, is the shifting of narratives. And I may not quite be sure, but this is an NBA Finals, this 2021 NBA Finals, where with the Bucks winning or with them losing, there was potential for a lot of narrative shifting. We already may have seen some of those narratives shifting here. Giannis, in the way he's viewed as a player. Coach Mike Budenholzer, head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, in the way he's viewed as a coach and still having his job. Chris Paul and his legacy. We'll get to Giannis and Chris Paul in that. But Jarod, how much do you think narrative was impacted by the way these finals finished with the Bucks winning?
Oh, I mean, it's impacted a great deal for those people who like to feed into that nonsense, right? Like, I mean, for us and on NBA with Nuance, we don't do that here, right? No hot takes. We're not down with these narratives. Oh my God, Giannis is the greatest player of all time now. It's like, what are we doing? Like, it's this society we live in, Dex, where everything has to be, it's either this or this. No, it can be and too, right? Like, and everything we do is sort of, codified or quantified by, did they win the championship? And then retroactively, we go backwards and say, oh yeah, this is right all along. And it's like, that's not how this works, man. If the Bucks did not win the championship and it went to 7 games, what are we saying? Oh, Budenholzer can't win the big one. Giannis is a fraud. It's like, no, man, it's hard to win this thing. There are 30 teams in the NBA. If every team's stated goal is to win an NBA championship, every year, 29 teams are a failure, right? By definition. That's what we are saying. It is hard to win in this league, man. Like, and sometimes you can push all the right buttons. It just doesn't happen for whatever reason. It doesn't now mean, this player's trash. Chris Paul didn't win a championship. He's a choker in the big game. Like, no. Says who? Nothing. Look at this dude's resume. He is a winner. He's one of the greatest point guards of all time. It is hard to win NBA championships. Like, this idea of narratives and like, now it's this. I saw something last night. They were showing that graphic. Mm-hmm. Giannis and Michael Jordan, the only 2 players with at least 2 MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year, a Finals MVP, and also game MVP. And it's like, why do we make up stats to do this? Like, what is the point of this?
Right, and we always have to compare this current star to a already established legend or Hall of Famer. We saw a lot of this during the finals around stats, and it sort of annoyed me. And it seems like that, Jarod, that is the attempt to sort of shift the narrative, to almost show you, see, look at this player, he's close to this, or he's arrived at this, and I'm not necessarily sure that is the case. With that being said, Giannis, he does have 2 MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year, now a Finals MVP. That matters to a lot of people. Not necessarily to me, but it matters to a lot of people. what does winning, if in some way we can say what this means, what does winning this championship mean to Giannis and his legacy, if that matters to you at all? Or is this just, hey, are we just at the start of something that he is creating in terms of his legacy?
Yeah, so I love that you bring this up. It's still building for him. I have no idea where it's going to end. I will say this. Winning this championship, and if his career ended today, Giannis is a Hall of Famer, right? Because how many two-time league MVPs, finals MVPs, NBA champion, 5-time All-Stars, 5-time All-NBAs, and Defensive Player of the Years are not in the Hall of Fame? None. They're all in the Hall of Fame, right? So he is a Hall of Famer. Now, we have this conversation all the time. We're talking about, oh, is this person the greatest? What are we talking about? We're talking about the greatest resume in terms of accomplishments or the greatest player, right? Giannis at 26 is already starting to build one of the great resumes we have seen, right? It is still going on. I don't know where it's going to end up. He's only 26. He might add 4 more titles and 2 more. I don't know. We'll see where it ends up when he shakes out. But already, if you look at his accomplishments from a resume building perspective in terms of awards you garner, he is already putting together one of the great resumes of all time, right? He has more MVPs than Kobe Bryant and has more Defensive Player of the Year than Kobe Bryant, right? Like already, right? Okay. Now, when you want to talk about Giannis as a player, right? Just in terms of pure basketball skill, I think what we saw in this playoffs was interesting. I think he came to some realizations about who he is, particularly in the conference finals, but more so in the finals. Remember in that series against the Nets in the conference semis, he was playing as though he was a wing initiator and creator a la Kevin Durant, right? Shooting jumpers and, and we're like, my guy, that ain't you. You know what you're good at? That restricted area. There is no answer for you down there. Literally no one can stop you. And somehow in the finals, he realized, if I just score in the paint, I'm unstoppable. Yeah, he scored 40 points damn near every night because no one can stop you down there, right? So from that perspective, as a player within the skill set that he has, this playoff run, particularly the finals that we saw for him, was among the more dominant finals performances we have seen, right? It evokes memories of Wilt, all the great bigs, Shaq, who just man, we got nothing for this dude. He's just too good, right? And he realized, I'm a big. I'm a big who can handle the ball. That's what I am, right? I am a big who can handle the ball. Great. So what that means is I can start I'm a one-man fast break, right? And, if they're doubling me, I can kick out to an open shooter. And he really played into what he is best at, and Phoenix had no answer. They had nothing. I mean, he essentially fouled out that whole team, right?
They had no answer for him. As we said, Game 6, 50 points, also 5 blocks. It was huge on the defensive end.
Crazy.
So you saw him come up big on both sides of the ball, undoubtedly. Now, on the Suns side of things, where things shift, a lot of the talk will be about what is the future of the Phoenix Suns, particularly what is the future of CP3. Chris Paul, does he stay with the Suns? Does he look to leave? He said after the game that he is not retiring. He was asked about that. He said absolutely he's not retiring. Chris Paul still looks solid at 36. What direction do you think the Suns should go in from here, Jarod? Because they got a lot of experience, you would say, in this run to the finals, but we saw that they hadn't been battle tested. Game 6 was their first elimination game that they faced at all throughout this playoff run, and they came up short because a lot of the guys hadn't really been there before, really outside of Chris Paul. A lot of great stuff to build on, but what do you think the future is for CP3 and the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, Dex, that's perfect. And, I want to talk about the Phoenix Suns, but I want to use Milwaukee sort of as a conduit to discuss them.
Okay.
Milwaukee has gone through some shit as a franchise, right? This group collection with Giannis and Khris Middleton specifically, right? And Bud. A couple first-round exits early when they had the J-Kid years, and then Bud comes in. They get that record, the best record in the league. They go to the conference finals against Toronto Raptors. Win the first 2 games, go up 2-0, up double digits in game 3. They win that game, series is over, they go to the NBA finals. And they face the depleted Golden State Warriors because Kevin Durant's injured and Klay Thompson gets injured. They lose 4 straight to the Toronto Raptors in the conference finals. And it was just like, whoa, what is going on here, right? So they felt that sting. They come back the next year. Bubble year, right? Still the best record in the league. All right, no problem. We go in the bubble. We're going to do our thing. Miami waxed them. People were like, whoa, this Bucks again underperforming in the playoffs, right? But that was another reference point for them. They learn. Coming into this postseason, they go down 0-2 in the finals. Nobody was concerned. Guys, it's okay. We've been through hard stuff. We had that reservoir to tap into, right? We've faced stuff as a team that has fortified us, particularly our main stars. We're going to be okay. Sure enough, they rip off 4 straight. Phoenix, this was Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges. This was their first playoff run. First. And they went to the NBA Finals. They're definitely going to have reference points, things to pull from. As it relates to going forward, what they do with CP3, it's so interesting. Khris will almost certainly opt out of his $44 million player option, which $44 million. Woo, boy, nice work if you can get it. So he's going to opt out of that because more than likely he's going to receive a 3-year deal somewhere in the $90 to $100 million range is what I'm guessing he's looking for. Now, here's the challenge. He is 36, right? And while he looked good this year, Khris is still a small. He's 6 foot. And it is hard for little guys as the stakes get higher in the NBA Finals when you're literally playing against giants, right? It wears on you and it's tough. And if you're Phoenix, you know you don't make the NBA Finals without Chris Paul. As good as Booker and Ayton and Bridges and all that, and Monty's been establishing the culture, Khris was such a, this puts us over the top now because this guy, Khris is a whole different level of competitor and understands here's how we win games. And do you want to put another 90 to 100 million tied up into a 36-year-old 6-foot point guard? That's asking a lot. But if you're Phoenix, I don't know what other recourse you have. Who else are you going to get to plug into that Chris Paul spot that's going to get you back to the same spot next year? I don't know if that exists for you. So I think they're going to have to pay him. And the question is Robert Sarver going to go into the luxury tax? How deep? What's he going to do in terms of backup point guard? Is he going to pay Cameron Payne? Are they going to get a backup big for DeAndre Ayton? Are they going to get some more size and shooting on the wing? They have a lot of things they need to figure out to see if they have a chance. And there's no guarantee, a chance to get back to the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals next year. I don't know. The West is going to be healthy and presumably better next year. Memphis is going to be better. Utah's going to be better. If the Lakers are healthy, the Clippers, if they're a lot of good teams. Who knows? Dallas, what's going to happen, right? So I think that's the thing about the NBA, right? When you make the finals, you almost have to cherish it in the moment because you don't know if you're going back next year.
Nobody knows. You don't know. Can't take this stuff for granted. Can't take these windows for granted. And a lot of it is what you do with the windows. Do you learn from it, as you said with the Bucks? I think that's a fantastic point. Bringing it back to the Bucks, the question always rises when a team wins and they've learned the things the Bucks have learned is, can they do it again? Can the Bucks actually improve? Can they be better than this version that we saw of them with a dominant Giannis, with a Khris Middleton making big-time shots, with Jrue Holiday showing that he can be the lockdown defender and was worth the picks that they gave up for him because they won a championship. Jarod, do you think the Bucks can improve? Can they get better than what they are right now?
You know, I do. I mean, think about this. Giannis is 26, Middleton's 29, Jrue Holiday's 31. Yo, that's your prime right there, right? So it would seem, and they're all locked up for the next 4 years. So it would seem, barring injury, they have a 4-year window with these 3 guys. And when your 3 best players are also your 3 best defenders, which is the case with these 3 guys, that is a luxury most teams do not have. So yes, Milwaukee has everything it needs to have a chance to repeat and rip off 3 of the next 4 of the next 5, whatever. Will they do it? I don't know. You know, Pat Riley always talks about the disease of more, right? Or the disease of me, whatever the hell he calls it. It is challenging once you win because when you're at the top of the mountain, there ain't nowhere else to go, right? Now everybody's coming at you. Different when you are the hunter and you have something to chase. All right, that's a different perspective. Now your job is, how do we fight to get back and fend off everybody who's coming for us? And, you know, and it was brought up yesterday, and I want to be fair. This isn't taking anything away from Milwaukee because, again, they earned it. They beat every team in front of them. A hobbled Brooklyn Nets were a Kevin Durant toe away from beating them in Game 7, right? And that would have changed the whole run of this playoffs dramatically and likely would have meant Bud not being where he is and all that. So when we talk about margins being so thin in the NBA, right? 4 weeks ago, we were in a completely different spot thinking, yeah, man, this is it for the Bucks. It's a wrap. they're gonna lose. Bud's gonna get fired, right? And so you never know how things change and turn in the NBA. But from Milwaukee's perspective, I do think that they have what is necessary. Let's remember, Dante DiVincenzo will be back next year and healthy. He was a valuable piece that was missing for them. And the question is, they may lose Portis and Tucker as free agents because they can't afford to keep them. But do buyout guys and do other veterans say, hey, you know what? They got something good in Milwaukee. I got a chance. I can play with that Giannis guy and maybe win me a chip or two. We'll see.
It's going to be interesting. You talk about how it could have been a Kevin Durant 3 from this all being different. And to take it even a step further, this could have actually just been, in fact, if one of the other Nets stars were healthy, then maybe we don't even get to that Kevin Durant 3. And the Nets close that game 3 in the second round. And this is over. And maybe you talk about the Nets in the finals instead of the Bucks. The margins are that thin, and it's that hard to win in sports, as Jarod talked about. Now, this happens every year, Jarod, after the finals is over. I don't even know how they get this done. Immediately after the odds for next year, they come out. And, sports betting is part of everything we do right now. Yeah, I know you've probably taken a look at some of the odds for next year. And the Nets, we just talked about them. They are the odds-on favorite at plus 230. We also have the Lakers. They have the second best odds at plus 400. And then the Bucks, the champions, they're at plus 900. I know you've looked at this list. I know you've looked at what the odds are. If you had to make an early pick of not just who you think would win, but who you might want to put some money on, the best value pick that you can make for this in terms of winning the 2021-2022 NBA championship. Yes, folks, we talked about that already. Who would you take in making a bet here?
Well, I think there's no surprise. If you want value, you pick Milwaukee. They're the defending champion, right? Like plus 850, I think are the numbers you said. Yeah. When you think about this, right? The Lakers and Nets were odds-on favorite all this past season. That was the finals we all thought we were going to get. Nets versus Lakers. And if both teams were 100% healthy, that is likely what would have happened, right? Now, we don't know because shit happens, right? And that's the beauty of sports. It's the best live reality show we have going because truth be told, we don't know what's going to happen until it actually does. But yeah, if I'm a betting man, I'm going long on Milwaukee right now with those plus 850 odds. I might even take a flyer on Atlanta because they had that conference finals run. And then I'd look out west. I'd see what the odds are for Utah or Dallas to throw a couple bucks there as well. And then look at where the Clippers are as well. I think you have a really good chance of doing some really good futures bets right now that you can really, I can identify something here and put like a team that would be a plus 2,000 because we all know what Phoenix was to start the season. And if you pick them just to get to the finals, as I did, you would make some good money.
Yeah, you talked about Utah there at plus 1,500, Atlanta at plus 3,000. It's never too early to look at the odds for some futures bets. You've been rocking with us, the people who've been watching the show throughout the playoffs. We are not done with the NBA Exchange because there's always nuanced stuff to talk about. We got the draft next week. We got free agency. We've got summer league. We've got Olympic basketball. I'm sure Jarod will have a lot to say about that.
Man, these Olympic fools. Let me tell you about the Olympic fools, man. But actually, I have a question for you, Dexter.
Sure.
In terms of legacy and legacy talk, how do this finals for you? How does it affect, if it as at all, Giannis's place and Khris's place?
I think for Giannis, right? I'm with you. Like, this is just the start. I hate talking about where does he fit, although I think he accurately put, hey, let's look at the hardware he has now in terms of the resume for his career and where he is. And you got to start mentioning him with certain greats. But I always want to pump the brakes on that talk because, as you just said in the last thing we talked about before we got to the sports betting, so much can happen in terms of injuries. Is Giannis healthy? Is all this happening? Please, let's not forget, people. This man hyperextended his knee in the conference finals, which makes it even more impressive what he did in the finals. But I think a lot of this is going to do with, in terms of his legacy, this is one that's great for him because I think it does matter that he got over the proverbial hump and the criticism that you talked about, Jarod, that we heard 4 weeks ago. Oh, Giannis can't do it. His game is limited. But he figured some things out. I think what matters now is how this translates furthermore in his career, right? How are teams going to now adjust and play him in the playoffs, and then how is he going to readjust again? In terms of Khris Middleton, he proved that he's a good number 2, right? He can get the job done. We saw this guy come up in the clutch in the finals. We saw him have big games. He even hit one of the biggest shots in the final minute to put this game out of reach last night in Game 6. So Khris Middleton, now everybody's going to look at him as a winner. Nobody's going to doubt these guys again, especially in the city of Milwaukee. So the narrative shift, the legacy, it all changes. Now, can they win more? We'll see if that happens. I think that only enhances the legacy. Winning matters. The more you win, the more it can enhance the legacy. Who you beat also matters too. How do the Bucks do against a healthy Nets team next year? How do they show up a team against that? That's going to matter too. Because I think if they don't show up as well, people are going to go back and say, yeah, well, in 2021, the injuries, the KD shot, that kind of thing doesn't really matter. But it helps. I mean, but let's have nuance to this. We don't have to jump ahead.
We don't need to jump ahead.
Put Giannis in. Not saying he's not a Hall of Fame. We got to put him here, or he's with Jordan and all this stuff. We can just calm down. I know you are, bro, but we can just enjoy this for what it is in the moment right now.
Enjoy it for the moment. And the last thing I'll say about this Bucks title again, 100%, they earned it. You beat who's in front of you. If you want to play that asterisk game, every champion the last 20 years benefited from some luck. You need luck to win championships because it's hard. That's how this works. I will say a lot of talk's going to happen now about this is why you don't go to a super team, built, not bought. All that nonsense is going to start. And I just want to be clear. And this is, my thing for Giannis. Appreciate you, homie. You killed it. You won it. The idea, I could have gone to a super team, you said last night, but this is the hard way. I disagree, Giannis. Every way to win a championship is hard. Okay? Every way is hard. Let's not act like you won a championship with 4 dudes from Lifetime Fitness. Okay? That's not how this worked. Okay? You won with Khris Middleton and Jrue Holiday, who are excellent NBA players, right? And so any way you win a championship is going to be a level of struggle, and it's going to be hard. It's not easy to win this, right? Everyone's going to be like, oh, Jarod, what about those Dynasty Warrior teams? Excuse me, those Dynasty Warrior teams were literally a quarter away from losing to the Houston Rockets in the conference finals, okay?
Right.
Like, it is hard to win, okay? Period, point blank. And I just think that, we lose sight and we get so wrapped up in the moment that, oh, this is it, built, not bought, blah, 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 blah. It's like, calm down. Like, every championship is hard, no matter which way you do.
And nobody wins without talent, right?
Yes.
It might not be the superstar names you want, but I think that's great. Don't act like the Bucks don't have talent. Now, maybe those guys have been miscast as max players to a certain degree, but that doesn't mean that they aren't very talented, and they didn't show that in these finals. See? Look, folks, this is how we're able to talk about this with nuance. We'll have more to talk about with nuance. Like I said, the Olympics, the draft, all this other stuff coming up. We're not going anywhere. Jarod, thanks for joining me and allowing us to discuss the 2021 NBA Finals with some nuance.
Listen, man, I told you, we don't do hot takes on this show.